Dear Maya, I've been sitting on this thought for a little bit because recently I heard this woman say she is a mom because she carried her baby for 9 months. First, it was crazy to me because she felt like she had to justify why she's a mom. She was trying to prove to people that she is a mom. It had come out that she didn't really want to be a mom. She didn't really care for her child. She wanted to put a lot of other things in front of her child. It makes me think of what it means to be a mom. Interesting because I have such high standards on what it means to be a mom based on how I was raised. My mom wanted to do everything with us, whether it was like baking cookies or making lunch for us or letting us sleep in her bed or everything. I feel like she kind of stopped her life indefinitely when she started having kids and dedicated the rest of her life to us. So I think the standards of what it means to be a mom for me are very high. It's interesting because I feel like I have a little bit of a duality in there because I do have a birth mother. I don't discredit her for anything, but she didn't raise me. Therefore, it's really hard to understand that mother aspect. But when I am around her, she does everything for me just like my adopted mom did. She cooks for me, she cleans for me, she is there for me, and in the way she can be. Obviously, there's a large language barrier, so I have to confront that every time. But she cares, and you can genuinely feel how much she cares, and the love radiates off of her. It's interesting to me too, because I've also been around people who are mothers, but they do really horrible things. They only claim that title when it benefits them. I might not ever really understand that, but I've definitely seen it. I knew a mom once, and she was dating people her son's age. She was married. She was cheating on her husband. She was just kind of out and around and about and just really wanted to feel young again. Although it was crazy because she'd always go back to her husband when something happened and he'd always take her back. He'd always help her with whatever she got into. Like one time she got into an altercation at a club and the man she was with busted a bunch of things and they ended up having to go to court and the husband still helped. It was actually really sad because that was his first love. That was his first girlfriend, which became his wife. He just really wanted to take care of her, and he took in 2 kids. He took in grandkids. He took in significant others to his house. That was really hard to watch. It was also really hard to be a part of. I know a woman who became a mother and she had a few miscarriages prior to this. She didn't really want to be a mom. She wasn't ready to be a mom, but she didn't want her boyfriend to break up with her. So she decided she was going to keep the baby in hopes that he stayed. It was really unfortunate because he didn't want to stay from the beginning, even before she was a mother. And all she really did was try to guilt this person. It was really sad, and obviously it didn't end the best. It ended really chaotic, really toxic. He ended up leaving her and still stayed in the child's life. And this mother ended up going and having other kids with somebody else. It's always sad because when I look in at this mother's life, I think that she could be a really amazing mother, but she is too much of her mom, and she knows how horrible her mom was to her. She was the oldest, and her mom really just treated her like a babysitter. She was really strict, made her do extra things. She didn't really have money for her kid to go, do extracurricular activities such as soccer or go to summer camp or anything like that. Weirdly enough, she doesn't think her kids deserve that. It's hard because there's this jealousy behind it. And I totally understand that. I think it's supernatural. When you decide that you're going to become a mother, you really have to work through those traits. And although I brought up to this mother that maybe it would be good if she tried therapy, she's really afraid of it and what it would bring up. And I think that's absolutely normal too. It brings up a lot of really hard things. But if you don't deal with the really hard stuff, you're not really going to be able to get over it. You really have to go through it. And it's a really important skill to learn. I think that how I started this conversation was from a woman who said she thinks and deserves the title of being a mom because she held her baby for 9 months. I think you have to wake up every single day and work for that title. I don't think you just deserve it and it automatically makes you a mom just because you did that. And now I've never carried a child, so maybe I'm completely ass backwards when I say that, but I think every day And sometimes every moment you have to earn that title. One moment you could be horrible to your kid and yell at them because you're having a bad day and something they did just kind of set you off, which was nothing. It's not that you don't deserve that title in that moment, but what makes you really come in and full circle that title is when you go back to your kid and you apologize. I know a mom who cannot apologize to their kid. Their kid has heard them apologize one time their entire life. It's those really tough moments in life where you really have to gather yourself. Because I think the hardest part for me is that I really enjoy my alone time. I really like just sitting there and drawing and designing for hours. I don't need company. I don't need anybody to tell me it's good what I'm doing or it's bad or it's ugly, whatever. I just really enjoy taking that time to create this kind of peace and distraction for myself. And then you come along and you want to hang out and you want to do something. I'm over here thinking, oh my gosh, like I've had the longest week of my life. I just really want to be alone. But I understand that not every time adults around you are able to really take time out and spend one-on-one with you. And it was really sad because this week you told me a really gut-wrenching story about your other life. You know, you have another life. You live with your mom and her husband, and that's your other life. And I can't control them. Although I wish I could. I wish I could say a lot of things and do a lot of things. And I can't. And it's miserable. And it's probably 50 billion times more miserable for you. I decided this week it was really extra important to spend one-on-one time with you. And every day I didn't have it in me. I just really wanted to keep working. I really wanted to finish a lot of things, but I just remembered what you told me. I just had to remember that in these tiny moments, they're not really about me at all. They're really about you and how this time is so crucial, I think, in a girl's life, because soon you're going to be a teenager. And the emotions and hormones that come with it are really hard to handle. And if you don't get a grip on how to handle your emotions right now, we can't control anybody else around us at all. But what we can control is how we feel about their actions, about the things they say. And I think that really starts with confidence in how you see yourself. So just kind of trying to build that up in you isn't the easiest when I'm still building that up in myself. But I think we're doing a really good job at taking steps and trying to create this consistency and this pace. Long story short, I think that every single moment you have to earn the title to be a mother. It can't just use your kids to babysit your other kids. You can't just get them toys when you were horrible to them and think it's going to get better. What we do now is really going to be a reflection on how we're treated later. And I think once you become a teenager and when you're in your early 20s, you'll kind of understand and step back and remember tiny moments or gestures or feelings. That's what's going to kind of make or break your reality. Your realities. How your dad and I act now in front of you is going to help you navigate how you deal with relationships. I think that's really important. And maybe I'm dragging this out a bit longer than I initially intended to, but I don't want to end it with saying, I hope you think that I tried hard enough. It just doesn't really feel necessarily genuine. If I think long term, I get spooked because I'm not there right now. And if I think in the past, I get sad because there's a lot of things I wish I could have done better. So in this moment, like I said last podcast, I think everything works together in tangent. It's 7:00. I went for a run because I had these thoughts in my head, but I really wanted to be able to navigate them so I can clearly say them to you. I have a lot of other stories about moms that I would love to share. I do know a mom who pretended to be the best mom, and she would show everybody that via social media. But behind the scenes, she's absolutely an insanely controlling person. When she would go on vacations with her kids, she would dictate what her daughters wore, such as the bikinis that they would wear. I mean, that's creepy to me. You want to take pictures of your kids and their bikinis and swimsuits and post it on social media so you look a certain way. And what I will tell you is that when I first knew there was something wrong with this mom was I was little and I would go to her house after school. And even though she was getting paid hundreds of dollars every single week from my mother to watch me and my brother, she was snarky, she was greedy. And the greed, I knew right away. One time she would only give us a handful of snacks, right? But it was the tone and how she said we weren't allowed to have any more food. And it was something that I wasn't used to because, grandma and grandpas, they want to fatten you up. They want to give you a lot of food. And mom and dads, they do that too. And for her to just be so snarky and so standoffish with giving us food made me kind of see this other side of her. And ever since then, I've grown up around her and I've seen these sides come out. Only until recently did I have to dive in and do research and find out things about her that just made my little kid self understand where she was coming from. And I was completely right. And it's crazy to me too, because growing up, there was one other person who said something about her. And everybody told that person, you're wrong, it's not true, da-da-da. Only until recently did we find out, holy shit, every bad feeling we had about this mother was true. And I'm smiling because it's not that I want to be right at all, but it was just crazy when people tell you you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And then it comes out, holy shit. Now I feel horrible for her kids. I would never want a mother like that at all. But once again, sometimes people don't earn the right to be a mother. They just like to be called a mother because they think it looks good on them. Maybe that's the only thing that looks good on them. But anyways, I love you, little Beanie. Until next time.